All right, lads, welcome back to a special episode of Who's Got the Ball. We are here now for a Premier League season preview. This is going to be on top of our usual Friday episode. So I've got Shane here with me. Shane, are you excited for this one?
Yeah, it actually went better than I thought it would, to be perfectly honest with you. We're obviously doing this at the end like we have been doing for the last couple of episodes.
That's a great
I
way to
think the
start.
people the people won't be surprised with a lot of our shouts, but there is a couple in there that I think people will be like, ooh, where have they pulled that one out of?
Yeah. I think better than you thought it would go in terms of the fact that we didn't go back like and argue the heads off each other. Do you mean or
I think
what?
the fact that we were so close for a
Yeah,
lot of the table is what surprised me. There's 20 teams there. There must be a
yeah,
million different ways of putting it together, and ours is so close that it's actually you're just one we're sitting down beside each other and we're putting this together. But we're not even in the same province, so it would have been pretty impressive of us to do that now. But
yeah.
yeah, it was a fun one, really fun episode.
Yeah, it was good. It was good. We've got some good bets and throughout for ye odds for different things that we did touch on. So we started with player stat predictions. We looked at top goal scorer, top assister, Golden Glove, and player of the season, and we gave an underdog for each of those as well. We moved into looking at sign-in shouts. So who'll be the best three signings and who'll be the three most underwhelming signings for each of us. And then we went into the table. We worked our way from relegation to top spot. We did differ at a couple of points, but as Shane said, we were fairly. That's probably the place we went back and forth the most around the relegation. We had a bit of
Mm,
a back and forth on that one and what we thought, but we kind of aligned. We didn't have the same outcome, but we had teams in similar positions. So that's the main event. That you'll get that about halfway through, and then we wrapped up with a bit of crack. One hot take each. We couldn't have been more opposite on that one.
no.
In fairness to us, and then the last thing we gave our three best bets from throughout the episode or other things we came across that you might like to incorporate into your betting. So that was the episode. We'll jump straight into it and enjoy the preview that we do for the Premier League. Right, so we're going to start our Premier League season preview, the big one, with player stats. So we'll hit on that first. We're going to hit some other things then, and the big one then is obviously the table. We'll leave you hanging for that one for a little while. So the first thing we have in terms of player stat predictions is our predictions for a top goal scorer. We're also going to give an underdog for this. So if you want to give your shout first, and then I might hit the underdog first.
Grand. So this is the one I changed about 5 minutes ago. I had Haaland in, but I have swapped it back to Mohamed Salah himself at 13 to 2. After the season he had last year, it's really hard to go against him. He's a machine. He was poor enough now against Palace, but if he gets chances like he did against Palace, that one chance he did against Palace, he gets 2-0 of the game, he's going to put away one of them, and he's easily going to get another 20, if not 25 Premier League goals. So I've gone with him at 13 to 2.
Yeah, he was in my thoughts as well. The only reason I didn't go for him is he slowed down the back end of last season, and then he wasn't as good against Palace. And I know it's like a small sample size, but I said I'm going to stick with Haaland. Like you said, you had him first. There's no real odds here. 11 to 8, he's the favorite. He
Mm.
had injuries last year, and he still had 22 goals. So I think
Yeah.
fully a full season under his belt with things going better for City, I think he'll hit 30 goals. So it was hard to overlook him for me. But my
Yes.
underdog, go ahead.
So just the thing with Haaland, so Salah does miss 4 or 5 games around Christmas as well, which is one of the things that had me kind of leaning the Haaland way. And then I was like, no, just go with Salah. But I did say I gave three bold predictions to two of my friends, and one of them was that Haaland will break his own goals record this season. I think he's going to be a man on a mission this season, so I think he could. It's not the one we're going to name later on. That's just one that I put out there, but it's not one I
Yeah,
was willing to stick with for this. But I think he could very easily get 35, 36 goals
yeah,
this
I
season
wouldn't
if
be
all goes well
surprised
and City start firing again.
if City come back on their form. I wouldn't be surprised, and
Yeah,
that kind of falls into who I had as my underdog because I thought Marmoush at 50 to 1 is an unbelievable price. Because if Haaland gets injured and City need a main man again, or they're banging in like 4 or 5 goals in some games, he's gonna get a couple. And he had seven
yeah,
goals in 16 appearances last season. Before that was in the Premier League, and he had 15 for Frankfurt before that with 9 assists. So I think if Haaland does miss some time and he gets 21, 22 goals, he could have more assists than somebody else, and that might tip him over the edge. So that was my shout there for the underdog.
Yeah, that's not a bad shout in fairness. I've stuck with my bias, and I've said if Liverpool don't sign the other striker that they're heavily linked with, whose name I'm not allowed to mention, Ekitike at 17 to 1, I thought was a really good kind of outside bet as well.
Yeah,
17 to 1 is obviously not quite as high as Marmoush, but if he's leading the line for someone, a team that is expected to be pushing for the top two anyway, and maybe I think they are the favourites for the league. So if you do have a striker who is pushing to win the league, I think 17 to 1 is a great shout, but that's only if they don't sign the other striker,
yeah,
who we won't talk about.
yeah. I think he might actually be, in my opinion, likely to score more goals than Salah because I think he's clinical and he can score a lot from
Mm,
outside the box, as we already saw in the Palace game. And he has a now keeper could have been better there, but regardless of that,
yeah,
he does have a good shot on him, and I think with Verts in the team now, there's only going to be even more chances than he's ever received before. So I think I like that one. 17 to 1 is a pretty good shout as well. So those are a couple of underdog shouts. I'm gonna jump in first for the top assists. So I've gone with someone here you might not be surprised. I went with Bruno Fernandes. I was teetering between himself and Saka, but I just don't fancy Gyökeres too much. And I think
mm,
last year Bruno created 91 chances, the most in the league, and United just had nobody to score. And now they've added Mbuemo, Cunha, and Sesko. So I think at 7 to 1, he's going to get more than his 10 last season. And I think sometimes getting 17 or 18 will win you this one. So I've gone with him there
yeah,
as
it
my
does.
shout.
Yeah. Okay. My underdog for this is a bit of a rogue one. Again, it kind of depends on the move, but I
Wait,
put
who'd you
in
have
Eze at 50 to 1.
for your main guy?
Oh, sorry, I had Saka
Oh,
at three
Saka.
to one
Okay, fair.
as my main one. My underdog then is Eze at 50 to 1.
Oh, yeah, that's a
If
nice
he
price.
does go to Arsenal or Spurs, Eze at 50 to 1 is outrageous. He has 14 assists last year, which was silly enough as it was in that Crystal Palace team. So what's to stop him from going up? That was 14 in all competitions, sorry.
Yeah.
But what's to stop him from going up and adding 5 to 10 and again hitting that 15 to 16 mark, which does win it for you most seasons? Like the record is 20. No one has touched it in a long time now, so it's only De Bruyne and Henry who've hit 20. Salah was close last year, but again, he did fall off towards the end of the year. But if you get 15 or 16 assists in the league, you're more than likely going to be in that top one, top two for the assister. So 50 to 1 for Eze, I think, is an outrageous bet.
Yeah, I think 50 to 1 is a great price, considering as well, like you've said, he could still make a move. And that's why I kind of cheated a little bit on this one because I have my actual pick, but I also have another guy with a caveat that he might move. So my actual pick is Morgan Rogers, 25 to 1. He had 10 last year, and I think Watkins is going to play more consistently if he stays there
Mm,
now. They won't chop him in and out. So I think that could be a benefit to him. And they also signed another young striker. So I like him to get more than the 10 and to keep improving. So 25 to 1 is good. And then my other one is Savino. He had 8 in 29 games last season. He's been linked to go to Spurs. I think if he goes
yeah,
to Spurs and he starts every game, he's going to get more than 8 and he's going to get more minutes. So I could see him easily getting 13 or 14. So I think it might be worth putting a bet on him now while he's still at City
yeah.
and seeing if he gets the move to Spurs, he could get there.
I think that's a great shout as well. But I'm not the biggest Marmoush fan. Sorry, not Marmoush, Savinho. Um,
Mm.
One goal last year in a City team. Now I know City had a struggle in general, but I just felt like he could have added a lot more. He is young as well, so maybe he will. He is probably only going to get better, but I think backing him to be a top assister is an outrageous shout, especially with Spurs being Spurs as well. So we'll have to wait and see on that. But I
Yeah.
do, yeah, I don't mind your picks there. To be fair, I think they're solid.
Yeah, I think he didn't add a whole lot for the goal scoring points, so that's kind of why I saw him as a shout for assist because seems
Mm.
like he has more confidence on that front. But again, he didn't play a whole lot for City, so it is a bit harder to judge him. So let's see what happens with him. Then moving on to the Golden Glove, what have you got for your main pick here?
I have Allison.
Okay.
Has to be
Yes.
Allison. If he stays fit again, which is another big caveat. I think if he stays fit last year, he does get it. I think there's a couple of goals we can see. The ones at Newcastle in particular stick in my mind. I think Kelleher was absolutely brilliant when he came in, and that's why he got that big move to Brentford. But I think we get 38 league games out of Allison, he gets 21 or 22 clean sheets. And I think it was around that won it for Raya last year. So hopefully he can stay fit and get it first.
I think he only had 13 last year. Right, yeah, was the win of it.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, I think it
Okay.
was
Well,
13. So
that's
yeah, if you
quite
can get
poor.
20, you're definitely laughing. But I've gone with Raya
Yeah.
again because I just think Arsenal are more solid in the midfield now. And their defense is already very good, so I think they'll rely on defense once again, as they have done for a while. So I think that's probably the most likely in my mind. He's the favorite, 6-5. So I think he'll win it again. And then with my underdog, I've gone with one that has absolutely ridiculous odds in my opinion. It was Pickford, 40-1. And
Yeah.
last year he had 12, so he was only one behind winning it. And now they have a more settled defense. I think their defense is going to be better because you'll have O'Brien and Branthwaite playing consistently.
Yeah.
I think they'll just be better defensively and more well set up with Moyes there from the start of the year. So I think those odds are ridiculous, and that's one I'm definitely going to be betting on myself because I think that's crazy to be that outside of a price.
Yeah, I actually had Pickford as well at 40-1 for the same reason as you. I think it's absolutely ridiculous having that high.
Mhm.
Especially as you said, O'Brien is probably going to move into centre back beside Brandweiss, and then you have two lads who are just going to head everything away. And what they don't head away, Pickford will probably mop up pretty decently behind him. I think 40-1 is crazy for someone like him who does he loves keeping clean sheets. So
Yeah,
yeah, it's a
yeah.
great bet.
No, I think that odds are they're probably the best one I've come across. But we'll touch on our best bets at the end. Then for player of the season, did you go for an underdog or just one for this?
Just one.
Okay, you throw out your one then, because yeah, no, we just said we'll pick one, but I saw one and I thought the odds are crazy, so I'll give it a shout out. But who's your pick?
Haaland, based off the fact that I think he might break his own goal scoring record for the season. So I've gone with Haaland.
What's the odds there on him?
I didn't actually write him down. I forgot to write him down. I looked it
Not
up there.
Brent.
2
I'll look while you grab
seconds.
that. I'll give my pick. Then it was
Perfect.
Cole Palmer is who I went with. A little bit of an outside one, but I think Chelsea are going to finish in the top four, and I think Palmer will completely carry them to that. I don't see them like winning the league or finishing second, but I think he'll
Yeah,
get them third or fourth, and I think he's going to be unbelievable and add a lot of goals and assists. He was very good in the Club World Cup. I know it's a different competition altogether to the Premier League, but it shows his confidence. And 8-1, I thought was a really nice price on him there.
that is a good price, yeah, in fairness.
And then my underdog was Saliba. I think if Arsenal
Ooh.
win the league, it's going to be because of their defense. I don't think it'll be because of an attacker. I think Saka would be the obvious one that people would say it would be him if Arsenal win, but I think their
Yeah,
defense is going to carry them if they do get there. And Saliba is 40-1, so I thought those odds were pretty good. It could be like a Van Dijk esque season for him if he carries them to a league title.
yeah.
So that's who I went with.
Haaland is Haaland is 9-1.
Oh, that's really good odds. If he breaks the
Yeah,
record, the
yeah,
only thing
definitely.
is,
Saka's favored at 13-2.
hmm,
One
I
I can
think the
see
only
here.
thing with Haaland is that people still, well, rightly so in a lot of cases, he doesn't add a whole lot else to the game other than the goal scoring.
Yeah,
So if he only ends up like 28, 29 goals, they might not
then
pick
you
him
won't win it.
because, yeah, so, but I do like the shout because if he does break the record, it's going to be hard to overlook it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So moving on to our second section, then is we're looking at some of the signings that have gone on. Of course, there'll be more in the next few weeks, but to preview the season, we're going to look at them. First of all, we had who's going to be the three best signings of the season. So if you want to give me your three, and then I'll go first in the three most underwhelming.
Perfect. So I've gone with Jack Grealish to Everton. I think he'll be allowed to just be himself again at Everton. He won't be the robot he was under City there the last couple of years. And when he was at Villa, he was absolutely astonishing to watch. So if he can get back to that sort of a level, he'll probably be Everton's talisman as well. I think everything good is going to go through him this year. So that's obviously it hasn't been 100% confirmed yet, but it's gotten all
Yeah,
the
yeah,
Twitter lads have all said it's done. So I'm counting him as done. I think Mohamed Kudus is going to have a huge season for
I
Spurs,
love that
especially
one.
with the Madison injury now as well. In the hole and behind whatever striker they have there. Oh, after probably Matthias Teller, someone will be playing up top, and Kudus is just going to pull strings in
Or
there.
Solanke
He was
maybe.
brilliant for West Ham. Yeah. Go, yeah, Slanky, that's who it'll be actually. I think him playing in that hole there is going to be brilliant, or even off the right. They will add someone off the left, I'd imagine, as we just mentioned. They are talking about Savino. And then the last one, I couldn't leave him out after what I've seen so far. It's Florian Wirtz. The man's a magician. Just finds space. I've never seen anyone find space the way he does in the final third. It's like he's playing in centre back sometimes when he's 20 yards from goal. His touch is unbelievable. First assists at the weekend. I'm just going to have a great year watching this fella just play football.
Yeah, hard to argue with those three shouts. Kudus was on the cusp for me. If I picked four, I would have went with him, but there was just three
Mm,
others I liked more. Stick with the Liverpool team, then I've gone with Frimpong. He's unbelievable. I think Liverpool fans are going to love him this season because of his work rate and the product he gives on the other end. Whether he meant that goal or not is another thing, but the
he
fact
did.
he gets into that position is more important to me than anything else.
Mm.
And he's going to put plenty of balls in like that. And he's going to offer Liverpool something at a higher level than they've had. And I know they had Trent, but his fullback play is proper fullback play to the highest level. So yeah, I really like him. And if you look at the goals and assists he added in the last three seasons in the
Yeah,
Bundesliga,
it's
it
crazy.
was 15, 16, and 10 in the last 3 years.
Mm.
So if you can add that in the Premier League, that'll be absolutely amazing. Second one is I've gone with one of the United signings, had to throw one in there, but I just think Mbuemo will have a massive impact. He'll add a lot of goals. I think Cunha will might catch the eye a bit more with some of the things he'll do, but I think United need goals more than anything. And Embuemo's a more natural finisher. Now he won't have the penalties to take that he had in Brentford, but I think he'll
Yeah.
still add at least 10 or 12 goals, which United need so badly. So I think if they get that, that'll be a massive impact. And then the third one is someone we already touched on, and we both kind of said that we liked it was Dan and Doy gone to Forest. I really like that move. I think he might even be better for them than Alanga, just in a different way. They won't be able to be
Mm.
hitting on the counter as effectively as they could with Alanga because he's probably one of the fastest players in the league. But he still does offer pace, but he offers finishing and end product a lot better than Alanga does. So I think he could add 7, 8, 9, 10 goals for Forest this year, and I think he'll be super important for them. So he's my third one. Any thoughts on those before I move on to the underwhelming?
No issues. I think Frimpong was really, really exciting against Palace in the first half, and then the whole team kind of fell off. But I am really looking forward to seeing him. Um, Dan and Doy, I think he is going to be absolutely excellent, especially if they continue to play a 3-4-2-1, and he's one of the two.
Yeah,
Himself and Callum Hudson-Odoi could absolutely run rings around people there, coming at people. So
yeah.
yeah, I have no issues. I can't remember who your third one was, but I'm also sure it was
It was Mbuemo.
pretty
So
decent. Oh yeah, yeah, it'll be okay.
so my three most underwhelming signings. I touched on this one already. I don't think Gyökeres is going to translate into Arsenal's
Mm,
system. I said that before they signed him. We talked about this in depth, and I said if Liverpool sign him, he'll be good for them, but he will not fit for Arsenal. He needs to run into channels. He needs to run into space. Arsenal do not play that way. They condense everything to one side of the pitch, and they allow like an overlap on the other side, or they want a striker who can drop off, and he doesn't do that. That's not his game.
mm,
So I just think he's going to struggle. Again, he might score 8 to 10, 12 goals maybe at a push, but for 65 million euros, that's not enough. And the
yeah.
jump to the Premier League from the goals he was scoring a lot against lower level opposition and a lot of penalties. I think Odegaard or Saka is probably going to take the penalties there, so it's going to be pretty tough to see him scoring enough to justify the price. A second one is somebody we already went in on a little bit, but it was the West Ham signing of El Hadji Malik Diouf. Every time I think about this signing, I'm like 20 million euro for somebody who didn't do a whole lot for Slavia Prague. And now he's expected to come to the Premier League and do bits for them and replace Kudus in a sense, or at least contribute to that. I don't think he's going to live up to that. And as somebody I could see just bottoming out and heading down to lower league or heading back
Mm,
over to the Czech Republic or something like that, because it's not like he did anything amazing over there. And to spend that much on him doesn't make sense to me. And then the third one is somebody who I know you're high on, but Petrovic. I just don't think 28.9 million euro is going to cut it. I don't think he's going to cut it. Should I say for that price tag? Kepa was amazing for them. They're after selling off most of their defense, and
mm.
they've got rid of their goalkeeper as well. So I think they'll be poorer defensively, and he'll have more shots at him. And I just don't think he'll get settled. I think he'll make some early mistakes as he did in preseason against United. So I think he could be a pretty underwhelming one.
Fair, yeah. The thing with El Hajj Malik Diouf is I actually only found out during the week he's a fullback. He's not a winger. And
Oh,
he's listed in FPL as a defender as well. So that might explain why when we were going in on his goals and assists, he was actually playing as a left back. So we'll have to wait and see if he what
okay.
he
Yeah,
does that
because
or
they
if he
had
does
him
that anything.
when they had him listed on transfer market, it was as a winger, and then we
I think
looked
yeah, I had
into
him as a winger. But
him from
he's
there and
he's
watched a bit of him, and we're like,
yeah,
he's not attacking enough for this. So
no.
yeah, okay, that makes more sense then.
Yeah, so I,
But I
I
don't
I
have
think
anything
he I
else
think he
prepared,
might
so
be a left fullback. Yeah,
I'll
I
have to
think he
stick with
might be
him.
playing as a left fullback, which is and it makes a lot more sense for his numbers last year than it did when we thought he was a winger.
Yeah, fair enough.
I'll
Fair
go
enough.
with my three.
Yeah, go
So I did have Gyökeres kind of hanging around my list as well, but I've gone for a different Arsenal signing, and it's Nani Madueke. I cannot get my head around why Arsenal thought this was a good bit of business at
ahead.
50 million euro. He was crap for Chelsea. Um, I don't rate him at all. I really don't rate him. I can't believe he's had the season he had at Chelsea, caused the issues he caused, and has gone up the league instead of down the league. I think it's absolutely mad. Another one I have is Simon Adingra going to Sunderland from Brighton. Um, I thought he was decent when he was at Brighton. I didn't think he was a world beater by any stretch of the imagination. And then I was listening to a couple of podcasts, and Brighton fans are delighted to see the back of him, and they've gotten 20 odd million for him. So I think going to Sunderland, where they're going to struggle to get the ball, he likes to play on the break. We'll see if it can work for him, but I'm not a massive one. And my last one, you're going to have to hear me out after you hear the name, and I'll tell you why I haven't been here. But I have Benjamin Sesko in this. It's for a reason, but we spoke about it earlier in the summer when he was linked to Arsenal, and it was Arsenal didn't need a project striker, and United don't need a project striker either. They need someone who is the finished article, and for 90, 80, 90 million euros, I think it's a big risk to bring him in and put all the weight in his shoulders, especially if you are getting rid of Hoyland out on loan. I think it's I think it's a massive weight to put on his shoulders to bring him in and say, right, you're the main man and go out there and just bag us 15 or 20 goals. It's a bit like what you said with Gyökeres. Will 8 to 12 goals be enough to repay the price tag that they put out on Seshko? We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, I think with Sesko, it's hard to argue with that. Now, again, obviously, people love to misreport. So there's 70 million euro was the transfer
Okay,
fee up front. So
my apologies.
yeah, like, but a lot of stuff online is given it in different currencies, so I can't blame you for seeing that because that's a common thread recently. But I think I take your point for the Sesko one, and I think I might have said it that um for United, they didn't need that either. And I agree with you on that. But when they signed Mbuemo and Cunha, I did say to you that now they can take a flyer on a younger striker because they've added goals in the tens. And I think there's nothing out there that was really solidly available, maybe apart from Watkins, but then Villa were going to drive a hard bargain and he's getting
And he's
old.
29. Yeah,
So yeah, I think this was the probably the best option, but your argument, yeah, makes sense. But for me, I think Sesko or compared to Gyökeres, I think if Gyökeres scores 8 to 10 goals, and Sesko scores 8 to 10 goals, they'll both be seen as a failure. But I personally could see Sesko breaking that 10 mark, whereas I find it very, very hard to see Gyökeres breaking that mark. Plus, he's 27, so if he doesn't do it now, when's he going to do it?
yeah,
So those are my kind of arguments against the point, but I do kind of agree with what you've said, and I
yeah.
find it hard to, your point is valid. So,
Yeah, I do think it's a far bigger season for Gyökeres than it is for Seshko. Seshko has
mhm.
time on his side. He's 22. If he only scored 8 to 10 this season, but United get back in the top eight, and he's played 38 games, scored 10 goals, or played 30 games, we'll say, scored 10 goals in the league. I don't think people will be looking down at him saying, "Oh, he was a terrible signing." I think everyone will be like, "Okay, that's a good starting point. We'll go from there." Whereas if Arsenal finish second, Gyökeres only scores 10 goals and they draw 11 games like they did last year, people will be like, "Well, he was brought in to bring them from 11 draws down to five, give them 10 points and win the league." So I think that's where the difference is there. I
Mhm.
just think. just everything that I said about Seshko. Like, I don't think he's a bad player. That's not what I'm saying. I just think he is
Yeah,
going to
yeah,
underwhelm from what people are kind of maybe wrongly or rightly are expecting from him. Like, if he gets 10 goals and United finish fourth,
yeah.
brilliant season.
I'd be happy with
If he
that.
gets, yeah, if he gets 4 goals and United finish 13th again,
Yeah, it's a
that's
different
where the
story.
trouble comes in. And then all of a sudden they're trying to ship him out and bring in Watkins next summer. Then, so we'll have to wait and see how that goes.
Yeah, I think the fact if he added 9, 10 goals and he also got 10, 11 goals from Mbuemo and seven,
Mm,
8 goals from Cunha, then that collectively would be, seen as valuable. I want to give the exact fee because I think it's 76.5 million euro upfront, I think. And then there was an add-ons to bring it up to 85 from there. Um, Whatever they are. I don't know what they are, but right next to it when I look it up is 98.8 million in that's in dollars. So it's like,
okay.
yeah, you're getting all over the shop there. But 76.5 million euro up front. So I'm not sure what that is in pounds. It's probably close to 70, maybe 68, 67.
I'd say it's, yeah, it's in or around
But
that. Yeah.
yeah, so those are our shouts for signings. Let's keep an eye on those as the season goes by. Now, into the good stuff. We're going to look at our table predictions. I'll do the bottom half first for I'll take the questions we have for the bottom half first and I'll let you go with the top half when we get there. So our first question, we're gonna do it bit by bit here, is which three teams will be relegated. So I'll do it in descending order, ascending order, should I say. I'll start at the bottom. I've got in 20th place Sunderland. I just can't see them finishing any higher than that. I just think they tried to sign a lot of players and often it doesn't work. I'm not too sure about them, and I probably like them the least out of the three teams that got promoted. Just above them, then in 19th, I have Leeds. Apologies, Connor. I just don't think they're good enough. They've signed a couple of decent players, but the Premier League's quality is too much right now, and I just don't think they'll be good enough. Then in 18th, here's my bad one. I've gone with West Ham. I just don't think
Oh.
they're going to work. They've lost Kudus. They haven't really done much to replace him. They have some defenders they signed last season, but they took a while to bed in. I don't think
Mm.
Graham Potter is the man to do the job. To be honest with you, I don't think he's an amazing manager. I think he's pretty good in that system Brighton had, but I think he'll be found out there at West Ham. Personally, bit of a hot take, but yeah, I think those are the three. So I've gone with those three to get relegated. What did you have?
I think we only have one the same, which
Ooh,
is an interesting start to this. I have Burnley to finish 20th. They're not going to score enough goals. There's no way they keep enough clean sheets the way they did last year. It's not going to be defensively solid without Trafford, without the centre back whose name has escaped me now, has
Egan
gone to
Riley.
Marseille. Yes, yeah, without Egan Riley, I just think they're going to have a shambolic season. They still have Ashley Barnes up top. He's still one of their striker options, like, and
One of the options,
he
but
was doing this. He was doing it 10 years ago when they came up and beat Liverpool 3-0. He was one of the goal scorers. Um, After that, I have Sunderland to finish 19th. I just don't. Again, like I don't think they're signed badly. I just think it's a bit like what you said there, where the Premier League is very very strong at the moment. I just don't see how, especially with their lack of Premier League experience they have there as well. They've signed a load of lads who are 6'3", 6'4", 6'5", but they're all from different leagues. None of them have played in the Premier League before. And my mad shout to finish 18th is a 3-1 shout, and it's Brentford. Unfortunately,
it's hard.
I think there's two Irish captains getting relegated in Josh Cullen and Nathan Collins. I think I mentioned it either I mentioned it here last week. I mentioned it to you, but Thomas Frank went and took the kitchen sink and left Keelan
Yeah, you
Duke
were
behind
saying.
there.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so that could be a good thing or a bad thing. It could be that the Brentford board wanted to keep him so badly they offered him, here, we want to keep you. Here's the head coach job. I don't know. I think they need a lot of players to pop off. They need Kevin Shawley to step up and do what Brian Brano was doing to haven't replaced him yet. Fissade is going to go at this stage. I think it's pretty clear and obvious he's doing what Isak is doing at Newcastle. He's kind of sitting out everything. I just think Brentford are in big trouble. If they don't start well, I think they're in bigger trouble, and I think they will go down, unfortunately.
Yeah. I think the Brentford one is one I struggled with, like trying not to write them off
Yeah.
completely with the Irish representation. And ultimately, I came down on the fact that they have a decent defense, and I actually like the squad that's left behind. I don't think they
Yeah,
actually looking into it like they lost their main guy, they lost their manager, but I think they still have a decent squad with some good young players in there. And I like the likes of Damsgaard and Janelt in midfield, so that kept them up for me. But yeah, it's hard to argue with your points. Now I'm gonna go for my 11th to 17th place. I'll start with 17th and work my way up the table. Burnley 17th for me. My argument here for Burnley against where you have them in 17th is I think they've signed well. I think Dubravka is a good keeper if they need to step away from that young Vice guy that they signed if he doesn't work out.
yeah,
So I actually like him. He did quite well at Newcastle over the years. They spent some money in their backline. They signed Hartman from Feyenoord for 14 million to play left back. They also got Kyle Walker. Twanzebe is a very good player who I liked since he was at United as a youngster, so he can sit in at centre back. And then looking into the midfield, they've got Agachukwu from Chelsea to go into the midfield next to Josh Cullen. So I like that move. I like some of the investment they've done as well in their strike force. They've got Marcus Edwards permanently. They've signed Chu Lazio. I don't know anything about this guy, but he's 21 years of age. They spent a little bit on him, so let's see how he goes. And I also really like Armando Broya. I know he hasn't
no,
got much of a chance anywhere yet. I think he has the physical talent to play striker for a team, and he just literally never got a run. He's never done anything to say that he'd be good enough, but I just like basically his pace, his physical profile, and some of the finishing I've seen from him. Obviously, in clips down through the years, it's not worth talking about, but still, I think he'll be something there for them, and I think that might be an option. Now that might not work out, but that's my reasoning for going with them in 17th. Then going up the table, I've got Brentford in 16th for the reasons I just outlined, but I have to come middle ground. I didn't want to have them too high because
mm,
I said they lost a lot, and it's hard. Then 15th, I have Wolves. I actually like the manager. I like the squad, but they've lost Cunha, and I just think the league is very tough, and they're going to slot in there. Bournemouth at 14th. They lost the whole back line. Can't see them finishing any higher than that, no matter how much I love their manager. And I just don't think they can get above that point. 13th, then Fulham. I think they're kind of in that limbo kind of mode. I shouted out when we reviewed them last week that they should probably aim for a cup because I can't see them finishing very high in the league.
yeah.
They haven't done a whole lot, in my opinion, to reinforce the squad. Everton jumped up in the last number of days for me because of some of the signings. They got Grealish in, as we mentioned, and I think their squad is nicely building towards a team that can play at a decent level under David Moyes, and they'll have a very good
Mm.
defense. So I've gone with them in 12th, and then to round off the bottom half in 11th, I've gone with Nottingham Forest having a slide down to 11th. They're in the Europa League. I know they've got Ndoye in, but they lost Alanga. Wood isn't going to be the same as he was before, and I wouldn't be surprised if they lost Murillo before the season starts because there's some rumors surrounding that. But yeah, I just can't see them finishing any higher than 11th. So that's my run there of the bottom half.
We're actually not too dissimilar in a lot of it there. Obviously, there's a couple that I've had higher up, or sorry, lower down, even not higher up in the podcast, lower down the table. But in 17th, I have Leeds. Um, it's very hard to find an argument for him. I just have a feeling, is all I can say. I don't like Daniel Farke, the manager. I think he
Don't want to
might
set
be the first
upset
manager
Connor.
out the door. Sorry, yeah, I know. I'm sure he agrees with me on that. But I just think they have a good bit of firepower that can keep them up. They are. It was actually them as to who have signed all the lads who are 6'4", 6'5" at the back. So now going against what I just said about Sunderland, but I think it might work for Leeds. I don't know why, don't know how, but I just see it working for them. In 16th, I have West Ham. Um, I don't think they're going to go down, but I don't think they're good enough to do anything. I think they're just one of the teams they're just going to sit there and get their 40 points and then be like, okay, off on the beach we go by mid-March. 15th is where we kind of come similar. So I have Fulham at 15th and Wolves as 13th, where you had them
The
swapped
other way
over.
around.
Fulham haven't
Yeah,
made a signing this summer, and I just think they're another team they're gonna be middle of the road. They're not gonna push up and even threaten the top 10. They're also not going to threaten relegation. We both had Bournemouth at 14th. Reasons you outlined, I agree. I think the manager is brilliant, but they've lost four of the back five they started with last season, and that's going to take some stabilizing before they even think about doing anything. I think they could look like they're pushing relegation for a while, and then they'll just go on a run like they did last season, win 6 games out of 10, and they'll just kind of they'll settle in the middle of the table. Then I've Wolves then based on the manager. Um, the way they finished last season, if they kept that form up for a whole season, they'd be top 10. I don't think they will keep it up for the whole season. There's a couple of their signings I'm a bit kind of iffy on, especially the lad they brought in from Celta Vigo for 20 odd million, and just your man Wolf that plays left back. He looks a good player, but 13th, there is definitely 12 teams who are better than them. I also have Everton in 12th, and I have Palace in 11th. Everton also pushed up for me. The sign of Jack Grealish is massive. I think their defense is going to be really, really solid. We've already outlined why Pickford's, O'Brien, Jared Brantwaite are all it's a really, really good solid base from there. And then Forest, if I could have named Morgan Gibbs White as one of my most underwhelming signings of the season, I would have done for the contract he signed because I think he doesn't want to be there.
Where have you got
Even
them?
by the interview we did, it's pretty. Sorry, 11th. I've Everton 12th and Forest in 11th,
Oh,
just the
Forest.
same as you.
Okay.
Um, yeah, sorry. I just think it's really weird. He had agreed to go. He was ready for his medical, and then he signed a new contract. Definitely with a release clause to go next summer, I'd imagine. But I just don't fancy him. I think European football is going to put a massive strain on him, especially now they've moved up to the Europa League as well instead of the Conference League. I think that's pretty much confirmed now. Palace are playing their Europa League conference qualifiers next week or the week after, so I think it's all but done. I just don't fancy Forest this year at all.
Yeah, it's interesting that we had all the same teams in the bottom half. I thought we'd have like one or two different. So
Yeah,
that is an interesting one. Yeah, our order was pretty similar. There's not much argument. We kind of went back and forth about our relegation and the lower levels. So let's go to the top half. Our first question is who'll finish ninth and 10th. So do you want to give us that first?
yeah. So I have the rivals coming in here. I have Palace in ninth and Brighton in 10th.
Okay.
Um, Palace are just a great team. Glasner has done an outstanding job there with them. I think they're finally going to break out of this mold of finishing 12th over and over again. They're going to push up into the top half. They're going to have a fight to get into top eight, but I think they'll just fall short because the teams from first to eight here are just they're so strong. I
Mm,
think they'll finish ahead of Brighton. They'll be better than all the bottom half teams, and I think they are going to get ninth. Brighton, they're on the cusp of doing something special. I just don't think it's going to be this year.
yeah, I have the same two teams but in the reverse order. I've got Palace 10th and Brighton ninth.
Okay.
My reason to have Brighton above them is, as you mentioned, Palace are playing European football. So I think Brighton have more to focus on, kind of playing just Premier League football in the cups. So I think they'll probably be more focused. And I like some of the signings that they've made. De Kuiper is one that I was considering putting into one of my best signings. He's already grabbed a goal for them from left back in pre-season. So I think yeah, I think they're probably just going to edge Palace, but Palace are going to be great this year again, and there's not going to be much between maybe 6th and 10th, so I think they'll be knocking around that point. So then European spots, who do you have from 5th through to 8th? If you want to give it from start with 8th and go up.
Yeah, we'll do. So I've Newcastle in eight. Just again, the lack of signing they've made has just been it's been such a tough summer for them. It might be the worst transfer window any team has ever had. And I don't know if it's down to the fact they don't have a sporting director or Eddie Howe didn't talk to Seshko when Seshko came to visit them. I think things like that are absolutely mad. They've no authority by the looks of it, and they've missed out on nearly a full 11 of players that they wanted to sign. I think going into the season with the same squad, only adding Alanga and Ramsdale. Obviously, there's a bit of chaos up top. They don't know who the striker's going to be. It might be Isaac, it might be anyone. Literally could be anyone. They could end up starting the season with William Ossola up front, who is just not very good. And I just think the way the whole summer's gone from is going, they're going to start slow, and I think they'll struggle to catch up then to the rest of the top seven. Um, Spurs are seven for me. It was a toss up between Spurs and seventh and United and sixth. I didn't know which way to go on these two, to be honest. I really like Thomas Frank. I like the business he's done, the business that he's threatening to do as well. As a link there today, Savio linked from Man City as well. They would be two outrageous signings. Savio, Eze, and Kudos behind Solanke looks like a good front four for me too. push back up from 17th. I know it's a massive ask for them to jump 10 places, but I just don't see how they can possibly be anywhere near as bad as they were last year. As I mentioned, they've United in sixth, which I think could be a great season from 'em. I don't think they're going any higher. I don't think they're going to get Champions League. I think if they do finish sixth, they might be cut adrift from the top five. I think these three might be cut adrift from the top five. And in fifth, I have Villa. Um, I like Unai Emery. I think they're building something special there, and it is their year they should to get back into that top five if the fifth place does equal Champions League football again.
Yeah, that's interesting run. We have the exact same teams, but not in the same order. Um, so I've
Okay.
got Spurs in eighth. I just think, as you mentioned, the jump is absolutely massive, and they're also in the Champions League, so I think that'll take a lot out of them. But I do like Thomas Frank a lot, but I think it'll take a little bit of time, maybe, to get things fully settled in there. So I have them. I think eighth will be a good season for them to, if they do okay in Europe as well, win a couple of games. So I've got them there. Next, I've got Newcastle. I just think they're going to be ahead of Spurs because they've been more consistent and they've been building something nicely. And if they do make a few signings, I know they just signed. I really don't know how to pronounce this, but Thiaw. He's a quality defender that they signed from AC Milan. Um,
Mm,
and he's kind of learnt properly how to defend in Italy. He's part of a good partnership with Tomori there, and I think that was a decent signing. And if they do sign, I know they're looking at Jacob Ramsey today. That would be an excellent signing and some to take off a rival. And they're also looking at Samu from Porto. So I think if they got those two
yeah.
in, they'd be really doing well, and they might push above the next two teams I'm about to name. But I think for now seventh with the signings they've done. Sixth, then I've gone with United, the same as you. I think they do really well to get here after last season, but I think only having the league to focus on, whereas all these other teams around them have Europe too. I think that's the reason I pushed them ahead of Spurs and Newcastle because, to be honest, they probably have a better outlook right now, but United have less games, so they can focus more on the league. So I've got them in sixth. And then fifth, the same as you, I've got Villa. I really like Emery. I like what he's done there, and I think they're well equipped to tackle European football and the Premier League. And I think if they got some money in from a sale, they might reinvest it, or they might go back and get a couple of loans like they did last year. But I think Emery can do something with what they have already, and he's a very good manager. So similar reasons to you, and pretty similar outcome. We've got in
Yeah.
our line. So we're now in the top four. I'm going to start with third and fourth. What have you got for that?
So fourth to third, I have Chelsea and then Arsenal. Obviously, leaving a top two. That's I presume you probably have the same top two as well, have you?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think Chelsea, while they are a basket case, and we talk about them every week for the amount of players they're signing, they do have the makings of a really good 11 there. They just have the makings of a really good 11 in the 11 players that have bombed out as well. And that's the kind of thing that's just shows me off for them. There's too many players there, but I think if they just get a squad of 22, kind of just bat off the rest. Then they've 20 in the squad every week. They've two really good strikers there. I presume Jackson is going to go. I think Delap and Pedro will dovetail really well when they're kind of 60-30s. Two different kind of players. Yeah, I hate giving them any credit. But I just think they have signed well this summer. They haven't sold well yet, but I'm sure they will.
Has to be
And
done if you
then
get about 20 players every window. Like.
yeah, exactly. And then Arsenal, I just think they're going to have a drop off. I think, like you mentioned, Gakpo a while ago. I think there's going to be too much kind of place on his shoulders. They'll end up going back to Hazard, not Hazard, Havertz. They'll end up going back to starting him up top. I just think there's a lot of holes there still. Too many defensive midfielders. You can only play two of them. Why do you have 15 in your squad? And if they do get an injury to Gabriel or Saliba, they're either going to an 18-year-old or they're going to Jakub Kiwior, and I think they could have done with bringing in a kind of
Well, they
a
just signed
second level.
Christian Mosquera.
Yeah, sorry, he's only he's 18 or 20, isn't he?
Yeah, but
He's only young, like.
I think he's very good. I think that was a nice sign in my opinion there.
Okay, okay. Well, I have them to finish third anyway.
Yeah. Well, anyway, I argued against that point, but I still have them lower than you. I have them in fourth. I agree
Okay,
with nearly everything you've said. Just the defensive side of things, I think, is probably where they are best, least. best setup, but I don't like the attack. Like you said, I don't think Gyökeres is going to work out. I don't like the Madueke signing that you mentioned earlier as well. So I agree there that they're going to drop. I don't think they're going to have a great season. And Chelsea, I think, are going to have a very good season. As I mentioned, Cole Palmer, I think, is going to be excellent. And I think that they have a big enough squad to challenge for that and play well in the Champions League. And all the signings they've made can make sense if they use them well across all competitions. It is still too much, but if they can use most of them properly, then it makes a little bit more sense. And
Mm.
um, yeah, I think they'll probably finish in the top three. I think they'll probably grab that third spot. So we're fairly well aligned across this whole table, really, apart from
Mm.
our relegated teams. So let's move on then to the top two. Give me who you think is gonna win the league.
I think you know the answer. I have obviously backed Liverpool to win the league. I think they're the favourites at the bookies for a reason. They've signed really well. They are still short in a couple of areas, and I think if they don't get in at least one centre back and another forward, be it Isak or be it someone else, they just need to get someone in. If they don't get them in, then this could very easily switch for me, or any one of the other three could fall ahead of them. Because if Kanata gets injured and we're playing Endo or Gravenberch at centre back for an extended period of time, then I think we'd be in trouble. So I'm going off this based on the fact that I do think we will sign. And there was big talk with today again of Mark Way coming in for
Yeah,
30 or
I
35
think he's
million,
gonna
and
go.
Yaman Dione from Parma as well. So if we got in two centre backs and the forwards, then I think we'll be
How
right
many
up there
players
again.
do
And
you
then
need to win
City
the
out.
league with?
Well, we
Just
need more than
like
two centre backs for a start. Um,
how
the
many
squad is
attackers
quite
do you need?
small. Oh well, we only have three at the moment because Chiesa's going to go, so we only have three, and then we have the two. We have the young fella, the Ngamoa. At the moment, we only have Salah, Gakpo, Ekitike, Rio Ngamoa, and Federico Chiesa. And he obviously doesn't fancy Chiesa.
What
As someone said
formation?
today, if we
What formation are you
well,
gonna play?
you're starting three, so you're
Yeah,
starting the three of them every time. So you do need to have at least one more. So you have one off the bench. Personally, I want two more. I just think it's too much to ask for to sign two centre backs and two attackers between now and the end of the window. So
Jesus.
I'll
Yeah,
settle
you
for
don't have the
one
money for
Alexander
that.
Isak and two centre backs. Oh, we definitely do.
You
Money's
don't
not
think
the
they
issue this
signed
summer.
two attackers and two centre backs? There's
Yeah.
no way. I don't think so.
If
Not
you
at the value
spend
that Liverpool will be spending.
if you spend 35 million on Guay, 35 million on Leone, well, let's just say 140 on Isak, that's another 210. Then sign a young fella,
Oh
sign your
my
man
god.
Malik Fiat Fofana or something like that. I don't know, we'll see.
The way
Anyway,
you're
I'm sure
talking
you
now, like if you do sign, like if this goes now, and you sign these players and you don't win the league, that'll be the biggest absolute balls made of a season I've ever seen because you can't sign that
yeah,
many players in one season. Like this is you've already
yeah, there
gone
is that as
past
well.
like City levels of spending in one window. I know you've sold
I know.
players, but City do well to do that too. In fairness to them, so yeah, I think if you did sign three more players, you have to win the league. You have to.
Yeah.
If you sign
Um, I,
one
I,
more player, you have to win it because you already spent
yeah.
so much. So
I think if we sign another three players and we don't win the league, then it's the end of the podcast. Because I'm not coming back on here and listening to you talk about Liverpool bottling the league for a whole summer. So for the sake
like
of the podcast, we need Liverpool to win the league.
yeah, so you've got City anyway in second. Go. What's your reasoning for
Yeah.
that before I do come in with mine?
I just think the fact, like, the only reason they finished third last season was because they went in that ridiculous run where they could not buy a win. They're not going to do that again this year. I think Pep is going to just drill it back into them. I think they're better than Arsenal. I think they were better than Arsenal last year. It's just the run they had in the middle. And they'll be back up fighting Liverpool for the title. And if you finish ahead of Liverpool, you're going to win the league, I think. And I think City are the only ones capable of actually pushing them properly.
Yeah. Well, obviously we had two teams left the same. I've gone with
And
City to
you've
win
gone
the
for
league.
City to win the league.
Yeah,
Of
I
course you
have.
have.
I just think they've just the team they have. How many? Like I know at Liverpool, like you said, the depth, like this, the depth City have is absolutely disgusting. Like the how many players they just consistently take over, bringing in top quality talent all the time, and still having the guys in there that they already had. I just think their team is too good not to win it. For me, it'd be like if Liverpool do sign two more players, like you said, if they sign another centre back and a striker, I might have to reevaluate that. But right now, I think City have already basically signed all those guys, but it just didn't come this window. They did sign guys recently,
in
but
January.
most of it has come over the years, like. And I just think that their attack is lethal. With Marmoush and having Hoyland, just two guys that can easily get you 40, 45 goals between the two of them. And I like some of the options that they have now. If they do sell Savinho, you know they're going to buy someone for an extra 10 or 20 million. I heard something, I don't know how realistic it is,
Rodrigo.
but Rodrigo, but also Vinny, that
Mm,
Real might be looking to cash in on him. I don't know if that's going to happen now, but one in the next 2 years they will, because Mbappe is going to move back out to that left, and they're going to buy a big striker. I think they will sell
yeah.
him soon enough. But if they were ever to sell him, City would be jumping straight in for a guy like him. So I think forget all that. Look at the current squads. I just think City have a little bit more in terms of the goal scoring, and they're. I just think Pep is going to be like a man possessed this season to try and turn things around and switch it. Now Liverpool, I have them in second. I think they've done really well this window. They've signed a lot of players, filled a lot of gaps. Um, but I just think that they had an amazing season last year. Slot is a great manager, but I think Pep has been doing this for so long that he's going to have one up on him here this year. And he wasn't close enough to put pressure on him last year. But if you're coming down the stretch against Pep, who's done this so many times, and you've done it once, regardless, yeah, you can't take that away from him. But there was no pressure applied from the likes of a Pep Guardiola, and that will be put on them this year. So I think it's going to be a great race. I could see it being within 4 or 5 points. But I
Mm.
just think City are just going to pull ahead. So those are our Premier League tables broken down. We will get a graphic up of the two of them on the social media so you guys can take a look and let us know what you think. But I noted a few odds based on what we picked there that I thought were nice. So City at 7-2 to win, I thought was a good price. Palace at top half 6-4. I think that's pretty much guaranteed. I think they're
Mm.
very, very good. It's not great odds, but if you're someone who likes to put a lot of money on a bet, something that I think is going to definitely happen, I would like that one. West Ham at 5-1 to be relegated, I think, is a nice shout. Burnley 9-4 not to be relegated. That's probably not the best odds here. It's probably the
Impressive.
worst one of all these, but I do think it's worth looking at if you fancy them. And then I did a if you can look on Bet365 if you add the three teams you want to be relegated together, Leeds, Sunderland, and West Ham to be relegated is 28-1. So I like that one. That might be
Yeah.
something I'll take a look at. So we've got a little extra section then to wrap up for you guys. Something a little bit fun to end the episode as we like to do often. First one is one hot take each. So I'll let you blast off your hot take first. What have you got for us?
One of my three best bets has kind of led me into taking this as my hot take. It's going to look a bit outrageous now with the way you put them in the table, but I fancy West Ham to potentially get to an FA Cup final.
Oh my god.
Yeah. That's my hot take. I've had a couple of outrageous calls. I just said Haaland's going to break his own records, but I think West Ham to potentially get to an FA Cup final. Now, I say that, but when we come to my three best bets, I have another hot take in there. So this one is going to
Okay.
look a bit ridiculous in about 40 seconds' time. I
Right.
also do like United to get top four at 11-4.
Ooh, what's that?
Just under 3-1, but I think 11-4 is pretty decent odds for United to get into top four. If I was to revise my West Ham one and go for that one instead, I'd be going for United to get top four.
No, I love that hot take. I love the Man United one. That sounds good to me. But what my hot take is basically the opposite of yours. Graham Potter, first manager to be sacked.
Oh,
I just think they have a first game against Sunderland away. If they start off with a loss there, in
sure,
the
yeah, he's in
Stadium of
trouble
Light,
straight away.
and Sunderland are pumped up for that game and they win. After that, you've got Chelsea, Forest, Spurs, Palace, Everton, and Arsenal. West Ham are. I honestly can't see them picking up more than 2 points out of those games. Those teams are
Mm.
very, very good teams and a lot of good defensive sides as well. Playing West Ham, playing against them without Kudus, just with Bowen, not a whole lot else going on. It's just a recipe for disaster for me, and I think
Yeah,
Potter is out the door. That's my hot take.
okay. I've no issue with it, to be honest, especially when you read off that list of games. Wow, that's a horrific start. That's up there with United have a pretty rough start as well, don't they? But
Yeah.
I don't think Amram is going anywhere anytime soon. But yeah, I think Jesus. And do you have the odds on Potter to be first sacked there? No,
No, I'll look it up while you give your three best bets. I'll see what
Grant.
odds are. So you fire away there with your three best
Yeah.
bets.
So the first one, which is the one that's going to make West Ham win in the FA Cup, is a bit silly. Is I actually really like 16-1 shout of Aston Villa to win the FA Cup.
Oh, that's a
16
good
to
one.
1 is a really good outside bet for Villa. Emery does love a cup run, especially if Villa are kind of just to get the point where they are just middling away. They're like, okay, let's just go and win a trophy and give these fans something to scream about. Another one for Villa is Villa top four is 4-1. I like that one as well. I think as we both have them there to finish fifth, so why not push them up one more and finish in the top four?
Mhm.
And the last one is Liverpool to win the Premier League and the FA Cup at 9-1. Um, why not? Is all I'm going to say on that. I was going to put down Liverpool to win the quadruple, but it was only that's a bit absolutely
Yeah, that's
ridiculous.
not a
But
great odds.
I think doing the Premier League and FA Cup is very doable. So 9-1, not the best odds, but I wanted to get Liverpool in there and something, and putting them in to win the league was it just a waste of time because they're favourites.
Yeah, no, fair enough. Just to come back, double back on that, Graham Potter to be sacked versus 16 to 1. I actually really like that.
Oh wow, okay.
The favorite is Keith Andrews at 4 to 1, unfortunately. But
Hmm.
yeah,
I'm
we'll
surprised Daniel
ignore that
Farke is
one.
not the favourite.
He is 5 to 1, so he's close behind.
Okay,
But
close enough.
yeah, I actually really like that Villa to win the cup. I think that's a really nice odds. I might actually look into that one because they could. I think they might focus on that as well as probably aiming with the league. I think Europe might be a little bit on the back burner if they want to keep their squad fresh. But my best three bets, there are three that I've already touched on throughout the episode, but I just want to highlight them here at the end for you. So probably ones I'll be getting in on is Pickford Golden Glove at 40 to 1. I just think those odds are outrageous. Like I think it's well worth a punt on that when those odds are so long. I think he's one of the main parts of that Everton team. No matter how much we'd hate to admit it, I think their defense is still good as well. So
Yeah.
that's one. Second is Bruno with the most assists at 7 to 1. I think it's nice enough odds that you can still get a nice win on it. Given that he's probably going to finish in the top three or four.
Yeah.
So if he does manage to push to the top, I think it's still decent odds. And then Marmoush top goal scorer at 50 to 1. If you're betting on something happening to Haaland, just or Marmoush hitting incredible form and taking over as their top goal scorer, I think it's worth it at that price if you're having a little bet on something like that. So those are my three. So listen, lads, this is an extra episode for you this week. We hope you enjoyed it. Now you've got all our takes going into the Premier League season and what we think is going to happen. We'd love to hear what you think. If you want to leave comments on anything we've said that you think is outrageous, or give us your opinions on stuff too, we'll be all open ears to any interactions that you wanna give to us because we love hearing from you. So that's it for another episode. We will be back again on Friday at the usual time, so you'll hear us again then with the usual episode. But thanks for listening to this bonus episode. Shane, I'll throw it to you.
Yeah, just like and subscribe. As we said last week, we are doing two episodes this week. This one just about the Premier League. The rest will just be back to the usual stuff then, and just keep following along, keep enjoying this. Thank you very much, and we'll see you in 2 days.
Nice one, lads.